Think Canada can negotiate its way out of Trump's tariffs by being reasonable, by explaining how trade benefits both countries, by being a good ally? You're already losing. And here's another guy that should know better. Let's go to the other screen. Another guy that should know better, but he's misinforming the general public about that. Let's just watch. You can see for yourself.
Mr. Speaker, there are 100,000 more Canadian workers out of a job since the Prime Minister promised to protect their jobs. He says that they're going to get the best economy in the G7. It's the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. I met with auto workers in Windsor over the weekend who are terrified that the Prime Minister's failures are going to cost them their jobs. He looked those workers in the eyes and he said he would have a good deal by July 21st, and he broke his promise. Now he's blaming an ad. He has a duty to say whether or not he saw the ad that he says blew up the so-called deal he had. So will he do the honest thing and answer the question, did he see the ad, or is it actually his incompetence?
The so-called ad by a conservative government of Ontario. Conservative. And then they're spending the time and wasting the time here on the Commons, on the floor, debating a non sequitur issue. Now, if you're Canadian and watching the news about potential tariffs from the Trump administration, you might be confused about what's really happening. And now you know why you might be confused about why it's really happening. Can't say much more than that, can I? The conservative misinformation hamster wheel just keeps on spinning. It keeps on spinning. Why does it feel like every negotiation is a battle? Why does compromise seem impossible? The answer lies in understanding something fundamental. And this is Mr. Fundamental, Mr. Pierre Poilievre. Take it away, Pierre.
Mr. Speaker, all the hyperventilating in the world will not change the fact that the Prime Minister casually said in the Oval Office today, he bragged that $500 billion Canadian investment dollars have left for the states in the last 5 years, and then promised that $1 trillion more will leave in the next 5 years. Wow. That'll mean mines closing in Quebec and opening in Pennsylvania. It'll mean mills closing in BC and opening in Washington State, factories closing in Ontario and going to Michigan. Why is it that the Prime Minister sells out Canadian workers, Canadian jobs, and Canadian investments in the White House?
Oh my. Mr. Pierre Poilievre, is that a home run? Is that a grand slam? What do you guys think? Guy's like a bulldog, terrier, just tugging away at your pant leg, at the cuff of your pant leg. Like, what are we gonna do? Say it ain't so, Joe? So, here's the deal, folks. We're dealing with Donald Trump. This guy, Pierre Poilievre, politician, supposed to know politics. Yeah, Pierre Poilievre's supposed to know politics. He's supposed to have a feel of the lay of the land. He's supposed to understand how to negotiate. Yet he fails to understand Donald Trump, the United States, and what negotiations need to be done, what tactics need to be employed. Now, here's the caveat. And this is what nobody's telling you. Donald Trump approaches every deal. He operates in a zero-sum world. And if you can't understand that, you're going to keep misreading the situation. And what's more deplorable is the fact that Pierre Poilievre, Yves-François Blanchet, Daniel Smith, Scott Moe, and many other people misread the situation, mislead their constituents, and this is why we're in the situation we're in. So, we're going to move to the next screen now. Move to the next screen? Yes, we are. In most international situations, countries aim for win-win situations. Trade deals are about mutual benefit, and diplomacy is about finding common ground where both sides gain something. But Trump doesn't see the world that way. His zero-sum thinking means there's a fixed pie. If someone wins, someone else must lose. And this is how Trump thinks. For every dollar gained, someone else lost that dollar. This is the way Trump's operated from day one. If you go back to his Oprah interview back in 1988, it was self-explanatory at that point in time. For Trump, negotiation isn't about expanding the pie. It's about taking the biggest part of the pie possible for himself. Simple as that. He comes first. His family comes second. His loyalists come third. And then maybe the country, which starts with the oligarchs, follows suit thereafter, and the trickle-down effect works from there. And there's not much left over after the oligarchs. So this isn't about the art of the deal, because the guy doesn't know how to make a deal unless the deal's fixed in his favor. And he'll employ people to fix things, to do it in his favor. And that's why he got loyalists in the White House. This isn't new. So Trump doesn't look at not, about succeeding together, not find mutual benefit. He just wants a win. And this is the critical part many Canadians miss. And I'm just going to go right back to Pierre Poilievre here now.
Triple. That's how much American tariffs on Canadian lumber have gone up since Mark Carney was elected, promising to negotiate a win. Remember, he promised that he'd have a deal by July 21st, and yet here we are in October. Still no deal, still no win. And today, the Americans jacked up the tariffs on our lumber by another 10 percentage points after Carney made concession after concession after concession. We saw how weak he was in the White House, failing to stand up for Canada, failing to stand up for our lumber workers. These are not just loggers. They're also the mill workers and the countless others that transport the lumber. All of their jobs are at risk because of our weak Prime Minister who's broken his promise that he would defend them. And here we are with a weak economy. The Prime Minister promised it would be the fastest growing economy in the G7. We have the fastest shrinking economy. Home building is actually down after he promised it would go up. Enough. We need a plan to supercharge our economy and stand up for Canada first. So, my plan is to pass the Canadian Sovereignty Act, which will cut taxes on work, investment, home building, and energy, unlocking resource potential, quickly approving massive projects like pipelines, mines, LNG plants, ports, plants, and terminals. We will also eliminate capital gains tax on anyone who reinvests here in Canada. This will be like economic rocket fuel for our country. This will give us the physical, the economic strength so that when we go negotiating with the Americans, they know that we have options that we can buy from ourselves and sell to the rest of the world. All things that we know we can get done if only the federal government will get out of the way. Next, we have a housing shortage. Our housing is the most expensive in the G7 after it doubled under the Liberals.
Right, Pierre. You and Stephen Harper, under your tenure, housing increased by 70%. You were the housing minister, you gave 880 units, housing units at that time, to private enterprise. Look what happened there. So let's throw that ball in the ditch, okay? Because every government since 1970, yes, every government since 1970 has contributed to this affordability issue. Full stop. And let's quit misinforming people. Let's stop the nonsense. So, and here's the part, it's the critical part many Canadians miss. Trump genuinely believes that America has been losing for decades. Losing to China, losing to Europe, and yes, losing to Canada. He's mentioned that before. From his perspective, tariffs aren't hostile acts. They are corrections. They're taking back what he believes America is owned. And he's taken his part first. What do you think these tariffs, the way he's doing the tariffs, using IEPA, Emergency Powers Act, so that he doesn't even have to go to Congress for money. He can use the tariff money. And this is just a very sticky situation. And another critical factor of Trump's way of dealing with people is his management style. He micromanage. Unlike most presidents who delegate trade negotiations to experts in trade negotiations, not loyalists, because now this Trump 2 version, 2.0, is stacked with loyalists. Trump personally involves himself in tariff decisions. If you say something or put an ad out there that offends him, gives him an excuse to say, screw you, pal. Look at Brazil. Put a tariff on Brazil because the administration there in Brazil were incriminating his friend Belizaros that tried to do a coup like January 6, Trump style. Not Gangnam style, but Trump style, insurrection style. And Trump, he makes last-minute changes to any tariff deal, any deal. He doesn't honor deals. You can have a signed deal. He won't honor it. He treats them as personal leverage points. This creates chaos in traditional diplomatic channels. Canada's government might negotiate with the U.S. trade reps, thinking they've reached an understanding, only to have Trump tweet something completely different the next morning. So why does he do this? Control. Guy's a control freak. Guy's narcissistic. But the other issue is Trump is an illiterate, a functioning illiterate, has no idea of cause and effect. And it's as simple as that. You can see it based on his actions and behavioral patterns exhibited from Trump 1 to Trump 2 to Trump 2.5. And Project 2025 and the characters behind that is really dangerous. So by micromanaging every detail, Trump ensures that he can claim personal credit for any win. No one makes deals without his approval. Other countries must negotiate directly with him, not through bureaucratic channels. This isn't dysfunction. It's his strategy. It keeps everyone off balance. And if Trump is operating off balance from the mind to begin with, how's anybody else going to be on balance? So he keeps everyone off balance because no one knows what he's going to do next, and makes himself the only person who can say yes. It's simple as that. And why Canadians misunderstand? Here's where Canada often gets it wrong. Let's see if Mr. Poilievre has something more to add here.
Our young people can't afford a place to live. We need to build the homes with Canadian lumber. How do we do that? Get rid of taxes on home building. About a third of the cost of new homes in Ontario is direct taxes. Another 20% is the cost of red tape and administrative burdens. If we can get the government out of the way, then we can build the homes that will create the demand for our lumber, creating jobs for our loggers, our...
But here's the deal. The only tool in the bag of tricks Pierre Poilievre has is tax breaks. All he does is talks about tax breaks. That's just Milton Friedman economics. We've seen that become prevalent under Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, which really created the affordability problem we exist upon right now. And we think Canada and Canadians, and this guy here, definitely have it wrong. We think we're allies, we're trading partners, we have integrated supply chains. Tariffs hurt American business, too. Yeah, they do. All of that is true, but it misses the point. Trump doesn't care if American businesses are temporarily, or a little more than temporarily, or if it's out of sight, out of mind. He doesn't care because it's out of sight, out of mind. He doesn't care if they get hurt. If he believes he's extracting better terms, he doesn't value any alliance for its own sake. He values what he gets first and foremost, and he is America. America, and it values what America gets from it. And he's America. He doesn't care about the people. He doesn't make decisions, big, beautiful budget or bill. That wasn't for all Americans, for a few Americans. So when we point at shared prosperity, he sees, you're prospering at our expense. And this is what you got to understand. He doesn't understand shared prosperity because he works from a zero-sum point of view. He works from a stacked deck point of view. He's been a wannabe gangster. Now he's a wannabe autocrat. And that's why he's using tariffs to be able to extract terms that are beneficial to him. Not even America, because America is him now. This is why he thinks he's the king. So Canadians expect rational economic arguments to prevail. We think if we explain how integrated our economies are, Trump will back down. But that's not how zero-sum negotiations work. Explaining mutual benefits doesn't convince someone who thinks they're losing. It confirms their suspicion that you've been winning at their expense. Take it away there, Pierre.
Mill workers, our trades workers, and most importantly of all, making home ownership a real possibility for everyone. That's how we work to restore the strength of our country. It's how we bring back the Canadian promise. It's how we put Canada first.
We put Canada first. Come on now. America first, Canada first. Do you see a trend here? Do you see a pattern? Do you see a belief system that's being exerted upon you or will to make you believe? Follow me. I promise everything. Can't deliver anything because my belief system's entrenched in economic and economist ideology that does really not serve the people, but we tried it in 2008 with Stephen Harper, an economist that never actually worked as an economist, but had the degree. So what happens when Canada negotiates for tariff exemptions? Trump sees this as negotiating in a situation where he must win. An exemption isn't a return to normal. It's a concession he is granting. And concessions, from his point of view, come with prices to pay. He might demand changes to dairy quotas. Meanwhile, our dairy management system is actually pretty good. You really don't want to deregulate that the way the Americans have because there's a lot of issues with how you do that. Increased defense spending. You do the increased defense spending, and what happens? You still can't do a deal. You're still going to be tariffed. Support for U.S. positions on other issues. So you cannot have an opinion on anything that geopolitically does not align with Trump's way of thinking. He says that's not the way it should be. He thinks he should control the world. And this is where he's coming from now. And he wants public acknowledgement that he won. The exemption isn't the end of the negotiation. It's the beginning. Because once he grants an exemption, he has leveraged a position that is not favorable to him. So if you get an exemption, it's because it's favorable to him. It's the only reason why that you're going to get it. And this is why the situation feels unstable, because it is unstable by design. And that's just the reality of situations. The reality of the new Canada-U.S. relationship should start sinking in by now. I'm going to maybe do a part 2 and we'll explore what this means for Canada in part 2 and Canada's strategy going forward, because once you understand the game being played, you can start to think about how to respond. But first, Canadians need to accept an uncomfortable truth. Trump isn't going to suddenly see reason. He's not going to wake up and realize we're friends. So let that sink in. Sending love and peace to everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care. Ciao for now.